Venus, did you know we went there? Do you want to hear how Venus sounds like? And can it hold life as we know? Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Horizon Seeker. This is the second part of our trip to Venus. On the previous one, that is showing on the card now, we talked about Venus, the hottest planet on the solar system. What kind of planet is Venus? If it has atmosphere and moons, how long is a day there, and a year, and its characteristics. In this second part, we will talk about the missions to Venus, if there was life on the planet, if we can live there, and we will also listen to the real sound of Venus recorded on the surface of the planet. So come on board and stay with me until the end. If you didn't see my previous trips, don't forget to check them after we finish this trip. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so YouTube can tell you when we are ready to go to our next trip. Now let's talk about the missions we sent to Venus. We didn't send any people there. However, we sent spacecrafts, more than 45 missions, which 26 were successful. To not make this video eternal, we will briefly talk about only the successful and most important ones. But if you'd like to check them all, I will leave a link on the description. Let's open our internal computer simulator. On August 27, 1962, NASA sent Mariner 2 to Venus. It was humanity's fifth attempt to send a mission to Venus, after 3 previous failed attempts by the Soviet Union and 1 by the United States. Mariner 2 was the first successful mission not only to Venus, but to any other planet. Its objective was to fly by Venus and return data on the planet's atmosphere, magnetic field, charged particle environment, and mass. It was the first time we recorded Venus's temperature, showing it has a surface temperature of about 480 degrees Celsius. 5 years later, on June 12, 1967, the Soviet Union sent Venera 4. The Venera program was the most successful and best-known series of Soviet planetary missions. During the 1970s and early 1980s, a succession of spacecrafts studied Venus from orbit as well as from its hostile surface. The Soviet Union managed to make 10 successful Venera landings, including 2 Vega probes that secured the majority of the scientific data we have today from the surface of Venus, including direct measurements of atmospheric conditions, surface composition, and 4 sets of unique images. Back to Venera 4, it was the first probe to successfully transmit information from the atmosphere of Venus. The spacecraft showed an atmospheric composition of roughly 90% to 95% carbon dioxide and found no evidence of a global magnetic field or radiation belts. The Soviet Union successfully sent more probes to Venus during the 1970s and early 1980s that we will divide here in 2 kinds, the space probes and the landers. The space probes are the ones that flew by Venus, like the Venera 5 and 6, and the orbiters, like Venera 15 and 16. They returned data of Venus's temperature, pressure, composition, and imaged the planet. The landers are the ones that the Soviet Union sent to land on Venus and collect data from its surface pressure, temperature, winds, soil, cloud components, thunder, lightning. The landers are the Venera 7 and 8, 9 and 10 that took TV photography from the surface, This is the processed panoramic transmission of Venera 9, and this is the Venera 10 panoramic transmission. Also, the Venera 11, 12, 13, and 14 that were buzz aircraft. A buzz aircraft is made of an orbiter that drops one or more landers. These are pictures taken by the Venera 13 probe. Venera 14 drilled the soil and recorded the sound of the planet that we will listen in a few minutes. The curiosity about them is that because of the surface temperature and pressure, they didn't last long, between 23 minutes with Venera 7 to about 2 hours with Venera 13 and 14 probes. The Soviet Union sent also probes on mission destined to other places, like the Vegas 1 and 2 that were destined to the Halley's Comet. But as doing a swing by on Venus, each dropped a balloon and a probe to the planet. These were the last missions sent by the Soviet Union to Venus. The United States sent probes to the planet as well. On June 14, 1967, 2 days after Venera 4 was launched by the Soviet Union, the United States launched the Mariner 5 to fly by Venus. It measured magnetic fields on Venus and in interplanetary space, and examined charged particles, plasma, that is superheated gas, ultraviolet emissions, and the amount by which radio waves are refracted in the atmosphere of Venus. Then the Mariner 10, sent by the United States on its way to Mercury, flew by Venus and took some measurements and images, being the first spacecraft to visit 2 planets. The United States sent 3 more missions to Venus, none with the objective to land on the surface. Pioneer Venus 1, or Pioneer Venus Orbiter, orbited the planet and sent back data of its atmosphere and surface. Pioneer Venus 2, or Pioneer Venus Multiprobe, that was called a bus because the aircraft carried 4 probes that it launched from the orbit to the atmosphere of Venus. One probe that entered on the day side of Venus even made it to the surface, which was more than anyone expected, and sent back information for over an hour. The Magellan mission, destined to orbit the planet from 1990 until 1994, when lost its signal. It managed to image 98% of the surface, mapped at resolutions better than 100 meters. That was the last American mission to Venus, although the United States did other flybys the planet, like with the Galileo that was destined to Jupiter, Cassini en route to Saturn, Messenger destined to Mercury, and the Parker Solar Probe destined to orbit the Sun. Other space agencies also sent missions to Venus, like Japan, that sent its first Venus orbiter to study weather patterns on Venus, confirm the presence of lightning and thick clouds, and search for signs of active volcanism. The European Space Agency sent the Venus Express to orbit the planet and study its atmosphere, especially the greenhouse effect and Venus's weak magnetic field. They also sent the Bepi Colombo to fly by Venus on its way to Mercury. And finally, the Solar Orbiter, sent by a ESA-NASA joint mission to the Sun, flew by Venus on December 27, 2020. Now, let's take some time to listen to the sound of Venus, recorded by the Venera 14, the last mission to land on the planet while we fly around. Now let's talk about life on the planet Venus. Because of the high temperatures that can reach up to 500 degrees Celsius, also because of its extreme pressure on the surface, about 90 times Earth's pressure, it seems unlikely that the planet can hold life as we know. Also, the atmosphere there is very inhospitable, mainly made of carbon dioxide, and also it rains sulfuric acid that is corrosive for human tissue. But according to computer modeling of Venus's ancient climate by scientists at NASA's Goddard Institute of Space Studies in New York, for up to 2 billion years of Venus's early history, it may have been a tropical paradise with oceans and possibility of life. It is unknown the reason of the climate changes that cause the extreme greenhouse effect we see today, but the Venus Express and Magellan missions suggested that about 500 million years ago there was extreme explosive volcanism around the planet that may have caused the greenhouse effect. Also, on September 2020, some scientists claim they have read the spectral signature of phosphine, a gas that can potentially mean there is or was life, because it is created by organisms like microbes or by industry like fumigants. However, other scientists are refuting that hypothesis, saying that the signal they captured was carbon dioxide, very common on Venus's atmosphere. Well, we have to wait and see the outcome of that, if there will ever be. Now let's talk about the hypothesis that we decide to build a base on Venus. How would it be to live there? First of all, as the temperature is so high that can melt lead, we currently have no technology that can support us there. Now let's imagine that we have the technology to support that kind of temperature. We also need some kind of robotic exoskeleton to support the pressure that is 90 times the one we have on Earth, to not be crushed by the air. Also, we could not breathe without a suit because of the amount of carbon dioxide that is about 90% to 95% of Venus's atmosphere. On Earth, the percentage of carbon dioxide is 0.035%. There is no water or food on the planet, at least that we know of, and the rain is made of sulfuric acid, which is corrosive for human skin. Well, in short, if we had the technology to decide to live on Venus, it would be a very hard life. So, my friends, we talked about the missions we sent there and also the possibility or impossibility of life on the planet. As we go back to Earth, if you enjoyed this trip and also want more of it, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so YouTube will tell you when our next trip is ready to go. Thank you and see you next time.